President Trump lands himself in some hot water over Ukraine, and Democrats push for impeachment. My name is Sean Clinton, and this is the God and Freedom Show. There is nothing better than to have an entire outline for the show, and for it to all to be thrown away by this week's news cycle. This news cycle this week has just been a giant bag of human feces. It's been garbage. But thankfully it's Friday, so, but then again, I mean, this news cycle, particular news cycle, can just go on and for weeks on end. Which I hope it doesn't. We already had that with the Mueller, with the Russia thing. But anyways, I hope everyone has had a great week so far. Happy Friday. So, but let's just jump right into the news. So, I mean, if you've been following this news cycle, you'll probably know what's exactly going on. But for those who haven't, here's the gist of it. So, basically, Democrats are going after Trump over a phone call he had with the Ukraine president. And the allegation they're making is that he basically pressured Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden in order, and then in exchange for some military aid. I'll get to the allegation in just a little bit, but first let's get to kind of the backstory of where this all began. So this all began back in 2016 with Vice President Joe Biden. So basically, the allegation against Joe Biden is that he essentially kind of the same thing that Democrats are accusing Trump of. Basically, he pressured Ukraine to fire or get rid of a certain prosecutor who was in fact very corrupt, and according to Joe Biden at least, but in exchange for money or some kind of aid to Ukraine. Again, pretty much exactly what President Trump is being accused of. And then that's where it kind of started. From there on, President Trump's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, who was used to be the mayor of New York, went over to Ukraine several times to try to investigate this matter. Now, as of right now, there's not really much evidence that Joe Biden did anything illegal, per se. So then again, the investigation is still going. So there could be a possibility of something we found, but as of right now, there's not much. But then again, that can all change in a matter of minutes. We can be doing the show right now, and then a bunch of evidence comes out. No, right this second. All right, so then all this leads to now, this week. So basically, how this whole news cycle began was there was this whistleblower complaint. And the whistleblower complaint essentially goes over the call President Trump had with the Ukrainian president. And he essentially says, President Trump has pressured Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden in exchange for military aid. So yeah. So just to be clear right here, if President Trump did in fact have a quid pro quo, if he did in fact say, all right, I'm not going to give you military aid unless you investigate Joe Biden, that would be impeachable, and that is illegal. But in just a little bit, I will get to kind of the facts that have come out about about Trump's phone call and whether or not he actually had a quid pro quo. So before we get to all that, let's actually get to the whistleblower complaint, which was released yesterday. Yesterday. And the whistleblower complaint is about 9 pages long, so I'm not going to go the entire thing. I'm just going to kind of go through to the meat in the matter. So, okay, here's where it starts. It says, Dear Chairman Burr and Chairman Schiff, I'm reporting an urgent concern in accordance with the procedures outlined in 50 U.S.C. 3033K5A, whatever. This letter is unclassified when separated from the attachment. In the course of my official duties, I have received information from multiple U.S. government officials that the President of the United States is using the power of his office to solicit interference from a foreign country in the 2020 U.S. election. The interference includes, among other things, pressuring a foreign country to investigate one of the president's main domestic and political rivals. The president's personal lawyer, Mayor Rudolph Giuliani, or Mr. Rudolph Giuliani, is the central figure in this effort, and Attorney General Barr is to be involved as well. So essentially, what beginning is he's accusing Trump of basically this kind of the same thing of what Democrats were accusing Trump of doing with the whole Russia thing. That they were accusing President Trump of colluding with the Russian government to get dirt on Hillary Clinton in exchange for some kind of help with the 2020 election. But as we know right now, that was all BS, pretty much. There's no evidence that Trump in this campaign colluded with the Russian government. Like, none. So, I mean, you can go back and read the Mueller report yourself, if you don't believe me. So anyways, so yeah, it's pretty much the same exact thing, but I'll get to the actual facts of the matter in a little bit, but here, continues here. Over the past 4 months, more than half a dozen U.S. officials have informed me of various facts related to this effort. The information provided herein was related to me in the course of official interagency business. It is routine for U.S. officials with responsibility for a particular regional and functional portfolio to share such information with one another in order to inform policy-making and analysis. I was not a direct witness to most of the events to describe. However, I found my colleagues' accounts of these events to be credible because in all cases, multiple officials recounted fact patterns that were consistent with one another. In addition, a variety of information inconsistent with these private accounts has been publicly reported publicly. So, okay, that's problem number one right here, that he wasn't a direct witness to this call, that he didn't actually listen to it firsthand. This entire report is basically secondhand. And while, like, yes, he did get informed about this call from different U.S. officials, I mean, but the thing is, information from the first primary source to the secondary to a third party or whatever, like, that can be changed, like, very quickly. Like, I mean, they could have heard one thing and they told them another, but then again, I'll just continue on and get to the actual meat of the matter. I'm deeply concerned about that the actions described below constitute a serious or flagrant problem or abuse or violation of law or executive order. That does not include differences of opinions concerning public policy matters, consistent with the definition of urgent concern in 50 U.S.C. 3033K5G. I am therefore fulfilling my duty to report this information through proper legal channels to relevant authorities. Now, it is important to note here that this there are some conservatives that are saying this is all politically motivated. I mean, from Democrats, it definitely is, but from the actual whistleblower, maybe, but it doesn't seem like it. Like, it seems like he was actually concerned that something was going on, so that he went through the right channels. Like, most people, when they're politically motivated to, like, take down someone, they go to the media. But like this guy actually went to the proper channels, went to the intelligence community and all that. So again, he may be politically motivated, but I just not seen that much evidence of it. But anyways, it continues on. To the best of my knowledge, the entirety of the statement is unclassified, when separated from the classified enclosure. I have endeavored to apply the classification standards outlined in Executive Order, 1352-6, and to separate out information that I know or have reason to believe it is classified for national security purposes. If classification marking is applied retroactively, I believe is it incumbent upon the classifying authority to expand why such a marking was applied, to which specific information it pertains. And then here's where he starts talking about the July 25th call that President Trump had with the president of Ukraine. Early in the morning of July 25th, the president spoke by phone with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. I do not know which side initiated the call. This was the first publicly acknowledged call between the two leaders since a brief congratulatory call from Mr. Zelensky, won the presidency on 21st of April. Multiple White House officials with direct knowledge of the call informed me that after an initial exchange of pleasantries, the president used the remainder of the call to advance his political personal interests. Namely, he sought to pressure the Ukrainian leader to take actions to help the president's 2020 re-election bid. Now, here's the thing. I'll get to the actual transcript in a minute, but just for kind of what my opinion about what he said there, it doesn't wash according to what the transcript says. It just when he says President Trump pressured the Ukrainian leader to help him with the 2020 election, it doesn't quite wash. But okay. So essentially, he just basically goes over like what the call said and kind of his interpretation of it. Now that, and he gets eventually at section 2, he goes on to say that he was like records regarding the call, like the transcript and everything, were being restricted from like leaking out, and the media, of course, took that as a way of saying, oh, Trump was trying to cover up this call, and also keep in mind, if President Trump was in fact covering up something, that would be impeachable as well. But he wasn't covering up or anything. He'd actually been pretty transparent with this whole thing. He released a transcript, completely unclassified, and on Wednesday, and then yesterday he released this report, and he said he's willing to release other information regarding this thing. So that tells me that he, at the very least, he doesn't think he did anything wrong. And so that's why he's not really worried about, releasing everything. Because there's been situations where he's been kind of hesitant of releasing some stuff that doesn't quite fit what he said beforehand. Like the FISA report. I'm thinking we haven't seen the entire FISA report and everything because it hasn't been declassified yet. So and there could be something there, but the fact President Trump could have declassified the entire thing, but has yet to do it. So he has said that he was going to do it, but hasn't done it yet. So I don't know. But with this situation, it just seems to me that he doesn't believe that he did anything wrong. So, yeah. So again, there are basically That's what the privilege report says overall. And I'll have the link in the description over, like, that y'all can go back and read yourselves, and I'll have the link to the actual transcript for y'all to read. Okay, so let's actually get to what the actual transcript says, because you're hearing like different like interpretations of what it says. Like, people on the right are saying that this completely vindicates Trump. He is completely clean and innocent, the entire thing. And then you have people on the left saying, oh, he's definitely guilty of a quid pro quo and that he needs to be impeached, like, right now. And I want to be as, like, completely objective as possible. And so I am gonna read the entire thing, and it's only about 5 pages, but I mean it's a relatively quick read. All right, so it starts with this, with President Trump. Congratulations on a victory. We all watched from the United States, and you did a terrific job. The way you came from behind somebody who wasn't given much of a chance, and you ended up winning easily, is a fantastic achievement. Congratulations. And then here's President Zelensky. You are absolutely right, Mr. President. We did win big, and we worked hard for this. We worked a lot, but I would like to confess to you that I had an opportunity to learn from you. We used quite a few of your skills and knowledge, and were able to use it as an example for our elections. And it is true that these were unique elections. We were in a unique situation, and we were able to achieve a unique success. I'm able to tell you the following. The first time you called me to congratulate me when I won my presidential election, and the second time you are now calling me when my party won the parliamentary election. I think I should run more often, so you can call me more often, and we can talk over the phone more often. So, okay. All right, from the get-go, this seems like, to me at least, like the Democrats are framing it as, President Trump was like really the one making a quid pro quo against like President Zelensky of Ukraine, and like trying to pressure him. But just from the very first like kind of session of what Zelensky said, it seems to me that he's the one trying to really butter up Trump and trying to get something out of him, rather than Trump trying to get something out of him. So it continues with this, with President Trump. That's a very good idea. I think your country is very happy about that. And here's Zelensky. Well, yes, to tell you the truth, we are trying to work hard because we wanted to drain the swamp here in our country. We brought in many, many new people. Not the old politicians, not the typical politicians, because we want to have a new format and a new type of government. You are a great teacher for us, and in that. Again, like, it seems like he's really trying to butter up Trump. Like, he says, drain the swamp, and trying to get rid of all the old politicians in his government. So, okay, I'll kind of give my full analysis after I read. So let's continue on. And here's President Trump. Well, it's very nice of you to say that. I will say that we do a lot for Ukraine. We spend a lot of effort and a lot of time, much more than the European countries are doing, and they should be helping you more than they are. And this is actually completely true. The United States has given a lot more foreign aid to Ukraine than any European country. Like, for some reason, that European countries are not given a whole lot, hardly any money to Ukraine, who they need it though. They're constantly being pressured and attacked by, Russia. So, and by the way, President Trump has been really, not only he's been tough on Russia, but despite what Democrats say, he's been very tough on Russia. but he's also been very helpful of Ukraine and given them like lots of military aid, unlike President Obama. Yeah. Sorry, I lost my spot here. Yeah, okay. So it continues here. Germany does almost nothing for you. All they do is talk, and I think it's something that you should really ask them about. When I was speaking to Angela Merkel, she talks Ukraine, but she doesn't do anything. A lot of the European countries are the same way, so I think it's something that you want to look at. But the United States has been very, very good to Ukraine. I wouldn't say that is reciprocal necessarily because things are happening that are not good, but the United States has been very, very good to Ukraine. So basically, what like I have basically getting from this part right here is that there's not a whole lot of evidence that he's actually pressuring Ukraine to like do something like investigate Joe Biden to get the military aid. Like seems like what he's saying. All right, backtrack a little bit. Just a week before this call initiated, President Trump cut off military aid to Ukraine, which kind of was set off some suspicions because like a lot of people in the administration and in the government overall doesn't know why he did that. But what I'm gathering from this, one of the reasons why he might have done that was because that European countries are not paying their fair share. So like he's saying until they pay their fair share, we're not gonna do ours. Which he has said that many times. So that wouldn't be too surprising. But another reason why he's cut it off was because of corruption issues inside the Ukrainian government. So and that wouldn't be illegal at all. Especially if you have think about it, if you're giving aid to a government and they're using it in very corrupt ways to like kill their own people, whatever, like why we continue giving them money? But Ukraine hasn't really done that, but they have been very corrupt. So that's maybe the reason why President Trump cut off aid to them. But anyways, it continues with Zelensky. Yes, you're absolutely right. Not only 100%, but actually 1,000%. And I can tell you the following. I did talk to Angela Merkel, and I did meet her. I also met and talked with Macron, and I told them that they are not doing quite as much as they need to be doing on the issues with the sanctions. They're not enforcing the sanctions. They are not working as much as they should for Ukraine. It turns out that even though logically the European Union should be our biggest partner, but technically the United States is a much bigger partner than the European Union. I'm very grateful to you for that because the United States is doing quite a lot for Ukraine. Much more than the European Union, especially when we are talking about sanctions against the Russian Federation. I would also like to thank you for your great support in the area of defense. We are ready to continue to cooperate for the next steps. Specifically, we are almost ready to buy more javelins from the United States for defense purposes. And it continues with President Trump. I would like you to do us a favor, though, because our country has been through a lot, and Ukraine knows a lot about it. I'd like you to find out what happened with the whole situation with Ukraine. Let's say CrowdStrike. I guess we have one of our you have one of your weather people, the server. They say Ukraine has it. There are a lot of things that went on. The whole situation, I think you're surrounding yourself with some of the people. I would like to have the Attorney General call you and your people. I would like you to get to the bottom of it. As I saw yesterday, the whole nonsense ended with the very poor performance by a man named Robert Mueller, in a competent performance. But they say a lot of it started with Ukraine. Whatever you can do, it is very important that you do it if that's possible. And here's Zelensky. Yes, it is very important for me and everything that you just mentioned earlier. For me as the president, it is very important that we are open for any future cooperation. We are ready to open a new page on cooperation and relations between the United States and Ukraine. For that purpose, I just recalled our ambassador from United States, and he will be replaced by a very competent and very experienced ambassador who will work hard on making sure that our two nations are getting closer. I would also like and hope to see him having your trust and confidence in I have personal relations with you so we can cooperate even more, or even more so. I will personally tell you that one of my assistants spoke with Mr. Giuliani just recently, and we are hoping very much that Mr. Giuliani will be able to travel to Ukraine and will meet once he comes to Ukraine. I just wanted to assure you once again that you have nobody but friends around us. I will make sure that I also want to tell you that we are friends. We are great friends, and you, Mr. President, have friends in our country, so we can continue our strategic partnership. I also plan to surround myself with great people. In addition to the investigation, I guaranteed as the president of Ukraine that all investigations will be done openly and candidly. That I can assure you. Good, because I heard you had a prosecutor who has been very good and has shut down, and that's really unfair. A lot of people are talking about that the way that they shut your good prosecutor down, and you have some very bad people involved. Mr. Giuliani is a highly respected man, and he was the mayor of New York City, a great mayor, and I would like him to call you. I will ask him to call you along with Attorney General. Rudy very much knows that what's happening, and he is a very capable guy. If you could speak to him, that would be great. The former ambassador of the United States, the woman who was bad news, and the people she was dealing with in Ukraine were bad news. So I just wanted to let you know that. The other thing, the prosecution. Oh, sorry. The other thing, there's a lot of talk about Biden's son. That Biden stopped the prosecution of a lot of people want to find out about that. So whatever you can do, which the Attorney General will be great. Biden went around bragging that he stopped the prosecution. So if you can look into it, it sounds horrible to me. And here's Zelensky. I wanted to tell you about the prosecutor. First of all, I understand and I'm knowledgeable of the situation. Since we have won the absolute majority in the parliamentary, the next prosecutor general will be 100% my candidate, who will be approved by the parliament and will start as a new prosecutor in September. He or she will look into the situation, specifically to the company that you mentioned in this case, in this issue. The issue of the investigation of the case is actually the issue of making sure to restore the honesty. So we will take care of that and we'll work on the investigation of the case. On top of that, I would kindly ask you if you have any additional information that you could provide to us. It would be very helpful for the investigation to make sure that we administer justice in our country with regard to the ambassador to the United States from Ukraine. As far as I recall, her name was Ivanovich. It was great that you were the first one who told me and that she was a bad ambassador, because I agree with you 100%. Her attitude towards me was far from the best, as she admired the previous president and she was on his side. She would not accept me as the new president well enough. And here's Trump. Well, she's going to go through some things. I will have Mr. Giuliani give you a call, and I'm also going to have Attorney General Barr call you, and we will get to the bottom of it. I'm sure you will figure it out. I heard the prosecutor was treated very badly, and he was a very fair prosecutor. So good luck with everything. Your economy is going to get better and better, I predict, and you have a lot of assets. It's a great country, and I have many Ukrainian friends. They're incredible people. Excuse me. And here's Zelensky. I would like to tell you that I also have quite a few Ukrainian friends that live in the United States. Actually, the last time I traveled to the United States, I stayed in New York, near Central Park, and I stayed at Trump Tower. I will talk to them, and I hope to see them again in the future. I also wanted to thank you for your invitation to visit the United States, specifically Washington, D.C. On the other hand, the case will work on the investigation. Wait, sorry. On the other hand, I will also want to assure you that we will be very serious about the case, and we'll work on the investigation. As to the economy, there is much potential for our two countries, and one of the issues that is very important for Ukraine is energy independence. I believe we can be very successful in cooperating on energy independence with the United States. We are already working on cooperation. We are buying American oil, but I am very hopeful for a future meeting. We will have more time and more opportunities to dismiss these opportunities. Get to know each other. I would like to thank you very much for your support. And here's Trump. Good. Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate that. I will tell Rudy and Attorney General Barr to call. Thank you. Whenever you would like to come to the White House, feel free to call. Give us a date, and we'll work that out. I look forward to seeing you. Zelensky. Thank you very much. I would be very happy to come, and would be happy to meet with you personally and get to know you better. I'm looking forward to our meeting, and I also like to invite you to visit Ukraine and come to the city of Kyiv, which is a beautiful city. We have a beautiful country which will welcome you. On the other hand, I believe that's on September 1st, we will be in Poland, and we can meet in Poland, hopefully. After that, it might be a very good idea for you to travel to Ukraine. We can either take my plane, or go to Ukraine, or we could take your plane, which is probably much better than mine. Okay, so okay, here's Trump. Okay, we can work that out. I look forward to seeing you in Washington, and maybe in Poland, because I think we are going to be there at the time. Zelensky, thank you very much, Mr. President. Trump, congratulations on a fantastic job you've done. The whole world was watching. I'm not sure it was so much of an upset. Congratulations. Thank you, Mr. President. Bye-bye. And that's ending the conversation. So, okay. What I'm gathering from this whole thing, again, Democrats are saying that President Trump initiated the quid pro quo. And after reading that, and y'all can read it yourselves, I'm not seeing anything about President Trump pushing for quid pro quo. Like, he does say that he wants Zelensky to investigate Joe Biden and some other matters. But again, it doesn't seem like he's actually pressuring Ukraine to do that in exchange for military aid. Seems like he's just saying it. And if you've been following President Trump for a while, you'll know that he says a lot of crap. Like, he just says whatever comes out of his head, pretty much. Like, whatever goes through his head and comes out of his mouth, he says it. And then that's part of the reason why, like, kind of the volume 2 of the Mueller report was kind of a little like a roller coaster, because while there was no really evidence of obstruction, like, there was many situations where he almost took that line, because he was saying like stuff like, we need to fire Mueller and like stop this investigation or whatever. But thankfully, like, people in the administration said, all right, we're not going to do that. So, again, with the whole thing, there was no actual obstruction. President Trump was just saying stuff, and it seemed like the same thing here. In fact, I think it seemed like to me that Zelensky is the one trying to get the quid pro quo in exchange, like, trying to butter up Trump in exchange for the military aid, which would not be anything illegal on Trump's part. If he's just, saying, like, it doesn't seem like he's like caught onto it, really. But especially when he says that we are friends, we are great friends, like, to President Trump. Like, again, that just seems like someone who's trying to butter up the president, which does work. As you recall, like, Kim Jong-un butter up the president, and now they're gone. Like, President Trump considers him like a friend. So it seems like Zelensky is doing something strategic here. But again, I'm not seeing anything about a quid pro quo. It just doesn't wash for me. Sorry about that. I had to get a little drink of water. But anyways, like I said, I'm not seeing much evidence that President Trump did a quid pro quo. But then again, okay. Like, while there was no quid pro quo, the fact that President Trump is asking the president of Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden is not good. It's actually very bad. It is. Yeah, I just don't think it's very bad for the president of the United States to ask foreign leaders to investigate their political opponents. It's not good. Like, some people are saying, some on the right are saying this completely vindicates him and everything. It doesn't. Like, honestly, read the transcript yourselves. He is clearly asking the president of Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden. And again, that's not good. It's not illegal, but it's not good. So, yeah. So President Trump should not have done this. But at the end of the day, while it's bad, it's not illegal and it's not impeachable. But of course, that does not matter to Democrats whatsoever. But they have now they're pushed for impeachment right now. That Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, who has been very kind of like not in favor of impeachment, but within this week she has filed for an impeachment inquiry. So it looks like to me that President Trump will be impeached by the House, because right now there's about 210 total Democrats. And by the way, Democrats do hold the majority in the House. So, and about 210 Democrats currently are in favor of impeachment. So, more than likely, President Trump will be impeached in the House. but he will not be convicted in the Senate. So, and then, that's one thing that kind of bothered me this whole situation, is that how ignorant people are being with this whole impeachment thing. So, like, there's a lot of people on the left who say, like, once he's impeached, he's out of office, he's not president anymore, and then we can get Pence to come in, then we can impeach him, and all that. That's not how impeachment works. Like, in order to be actually kicked out of office, you need to be impeached by the House, and then you'll go through a trial in the Senate, and you have to be convicted by them in order to be kicked out. And there's a reason for that, because the founders feared that, the House of Representatives, there could be a point where we have a majority of people in the House who do not like the president. So they feared that if they just gave impeachment powers just to the House, that anyone they don't like, they can get rid of, on and on and on, which would not be right, especially if there's no evidence of a crime. So that's why they gave both powers to both the House and the Senate. So there is a check and balance type of situation. So if the House comes in, impeaches the president, but the Senate overviews the case and say, okay, there's nothing illegal that occurred, so we have no reason to kick him out of office. So gets done. So yeah, so if he's impeached by the House and not convicted by the Senate, he's still president. But if he's for some reason, if he's convicted by the Senate, he is kicked out of office, and then Pence comes in as president. Which, I mean, I don't know. President Trump, I don't know. But I think a lot of people hate Pence more than they hate Trump. They fear Pence more than Trump. So that could be a very interesting situation. But then again, I do not think there's any way, shape, or form that the Senate will convict President Trump. I just don't see it. But again, Nancy Pelosi went in with the impeachment inquiry anyways. So in the end, how this will work out for Democrats if they do in fact impeach President Trump, I think it will backfire because, so as of right now, the vast majority of Americans do not support impeachment. In fact, 57% say they are not in favor of impeachment. So if Democrats go down this road, it will backfire dramatically. If this is a situation right here that causes them to lose the 2020 election, that would be just hysterical. It would be, I don't know. It would just be hilarious. But we'll see. Again, and then speaking of the 2020 election, speaking of 2020 election, while we are kind of talking about President Trump and how he could be affected by this, which again, I don't think he will be affected much by this, the person who will be affected dramatically is Joe Biden, because this whole case really involves him. So, and right now he is just dropping in the polls. He's in New Hampshire and Iowa right now. He was in the lead for a while, but now he lost the lead. Right now, Elizabeth Warren is in the lead. So, he's done. I really think he's done, and Elizabeth Warren will likely be the nominee. Now, I disagree with what some conservatives, like Ben Shapiro, who say that, President Trump should fear Elizabeth Warren in the election. I personally just don't see a Warren to have any chance against President Trump. One reason is that she's a phony. She spouts a lot of crazy stuff. She wants Medicare for all. She wants pretty much a full socialist takeover of the country. and she has no and she provides no actual answers to questions she's asked. Like she just says like random crap to kind of avoid the questions. So like it doesn't seem very authentic. And plus, I just don't buy that the Americans will be down for someone who supports like a socialist takeover. I just don't buy it. The reason why like I feared Biden more than Warren because Biden had more blue collar appeal and he wasn't a full like blown socialist unlike the others. Like he was more moderate, so that's why I feared Biden more than Warren. But for some stupid reason, Biden was the best candidate to beat President Trump, and they for some reason decided to toss him away and come in with someone who like will be very weak against President Trump. That just doesn't make sense to me. And also, like, not only is like her ideas will not wash with the American people, it doesn't seem like that she actually believes it. She's not very authentic about this whole thing. She's not very honest about it. Like Bernie Sanders, for example, like he's very honest about his beliefs. Like he fully believes in his whole socialist crap. Elizabeth Warren seems like she's just trying to pander to her base, and this I think will like become her kryptonite in the general election. Because if she like goes into the general election and like starts like say come backtracking everything she says, and then like moving towards the center, she's done. Because people will see that she's not very honest about her views. She's not authentic. Like, and plus we have a tape of her saying all this silly stuff, so she can't like say that I never said that. We have tape of it, so like, what you gotta say about that? So, I just don't buy that President Trump conservatives shouldn't be sanguine, because I mean we were kind of sanguine during the 2018 election, and we did okay, but we didn't do as well as we hoped. But again, I don't see Warren beating Trump. I just don't see it. I know like there's a lot of conservatives making like good faith arguments at the reason why it is possible that Warren could beat Trump, but I don't agree with that. I just personally don't see it, because I just don't see how. I don't think the American people will be down for someone like Warren. I just don't think it's possible. Alrighty, so let's get into I'm gonna start a new segment here on the show. Is basically go over different scriptures, like different like books of the Bible and all that. So we're gonna start with the book of John, and in chapter 1. So it's basically alright. So yeah. So let's start with verse 1 of chapter 1 of the book of John. In the beginning, the Word already existed. The Word was with God. The Word was God. He existed in the beginning with God. God created everything through him, and nothing was created except through him. The Word gave life to everything that was created, and his life brought light to everyone. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness can never extinguish it. So basically, the beginning part of this is basically a perfect demonstration of what Christ has done for us, like, and what he is. Like, basically, like, of course, like Jesus Christ is basically God in flesh, and like he's always existed through time, like so, and how it says, the Word, he brought the Word gave life to everything that was created, and this is kind of illustrates of how Christ gave life, eternal life to us when we repented and surrendered our life to Him. And that, in fact, like when it says, the light shines in the darkness, and He is the light in our life. Whenever we're like in a feel like a darkness and despair, He is that light that shines on us and gives the path to righteousness. So yeah, I really like the Book of John. Like, it is probably one of my my favorite gospel. Like, all the gospels, of course, are very cool, very good, but I think John is my favorite so far. Because yeah. And then it continues on with verse 6. God has sent a man, John the Baptist, to tell about the light so that everyone might believe because of his testimony. John himself was not the light. He was simply a witness to tell about the light. The one who is the true light, who gives light to everyone, was coming into the world. He came into the world He created, but the world didn't recognize Him. He came to His own people, and even they rejected Him. So this also illustrates how, like, Jesus, well, he traveled through all of Israel, tried to just spread His teachings, and basically save people from darkness and all that. But he was accepted in his different parts of Israel, he was not really accepted in his own town. And so, and also illustrates of how the world sees Jesus. He illustrates that while he comes into the world to save them, there's a lot of the world overall won't not accept him. They'll reject him. They'll see him as this crazy lunatic, and everyone who follows him should be ousted from society. So we are thankful, Christians are thankful to live in a country where we can worship God however we want and wherever we want. But of course there's other countries throughout the world where this isn't the case, where Christians are persecuted all the time. So that's why it seems like the American Christian is different from Christians throughout different countries. And I think that's because we live in such a blessed kind of blessed country where we don't face this. It kind of makes us a little sanguine in our faith. It doesn't cause us to take much risk. But the thing is, there's there's still a lot of ways we can take risk. Even just going to a local town or whatever, just helping out in the community there. I mean, and sharing the gospel. That could be taking a big risk for in your job or whatever. So yeah, like I said, I really like the Book of John. Again, it's one of my favorite gospel books. But yeah, I will be kind of doing this. I'm gonna start with the Book of John and go through the whole thing, and then from there just pick out other different books in the Bible. So, all right, so let's get to some good stuff of the week and some bad stuff of the week. So some good stuff of the week. If you one of my kind of top favorite series, movie series of all time, is the Jurassic Park series. I know a lot of people didn't like the Jurassic World movies, but I did like them. But of course, I think Jurassic Park was better than the Jurassic World movies. But there's another Jurassic World coming out soon, and what I was hoping for is that the original actors of the Jurassic World series. Oh, I'm actually get the names of them. Sorry. So yeah, Laura Dern, who played like Kelly, Kelly, and then Sam Neill, who played Alan, Alan Grant, and then Jeff Goldblum, who played Ian Malcolm. They'll all be returning to. I was hoping they'll be returning to Jurassic World 3, and they in fact are returning, which will be pretty cool to have the original actors in the series again. And there's a possibility for the child actor from the first movie to come back. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this movie. So anyways, let's get to some little bit of bad stuff of the week. So the bad stuff is that if you, a lot of people have already heard this story, but here's the basic gist of it. There's this guy named Carson King who was basically a security guard at a college football game in Iowa, I believe. And basically, he had this sign, up when he was on duty. He had a sign that says he something like beer for money or something like that, trying to raise money for beer basically. And then, hilariously enough, it was kind of a joke, I guess, but he raised $1 million over the sign. People spread it online, and he got $1 million. Okay, but that's not really the whole actual good part of the story. Actually, the best part of the story is this. Most people would have taken that $1 million and taken it from themselves, whatever, and got put in their savings account, whatever. But no, he didn't even save a penny of it. He gave all of that $1 million that he made. And keep in mind that he is not very rich himself. He's a security guard, which doesn't pay a whole lot. So he probably could have used this money, but he didn't. He took the entire $1 million he had and gave it to a children's hospital, cancer hospital. I mean, that is so cool. How cool is that? He gave $1 million that he got, and instead of keeping it, he gave it to children with cancer to help them get better. That is so cool. That is very cool, and he should be praised about it. But the reason why this isn't that bad stuff is not because of that. That is really a very cool thing. The horrible thing was that the media, for some reason, decided to when he was in the news, when this kind of spread out the news, then people in the media decided to dig up an old tweet when he was 16 from 2011, an old kind of racially sensitive or racist tweet, and put it out there and publicly shame him, and basically cancel him. And he had lost a sponsor with a beer company because of this. He got a sponsor for a beer company to keep on raising funds for the children's hospital, and they canceled it because of this tweet. How pathetic, how sad does your life have to be to go around when someone is becomes successful, to go into the past and find some old bad tweet and use it to basically ruin the entire life and career? How? That's the most disgusting thing ever. I absolutely hate it. They have done it to so many people. They've done it to Kyle Cashew. They did it to because Kyle Cashew, he had a Harvard, he was accepted into Harvard Law School, but someone decided to dig up some old conversation that he had when he was 16 that had some very bad racially sensitive stuff in it, and they put that out in public, and his Harvard acceptance was withdrawn. He can't go to Harvard anymore. And with Kevin Hart, the same thing. When he got successful, when he was getting ready to host the Oscars, I believe, was it Grammys or Oscars, he was basically run out of town because someone decided to dig up some old tweets from the way back when, and use it against him to basically publicly shame him and ruin his life and career. And for that reason, he withdrew from the Oscar, like being an Oscar host. And because of that, no one hosts the Oscars or Grammys or Emmys anymore because they're afraid of that. Like, I really hate, really can't stand this cancel culture stuff. It's really gross. Like, again, how like sad and pathetic does your life have to be to go around and to dig up someone who like makes a big achievement, to go back into the past and dig up some old like stuff they said and to use it to publicly shame them and like get rid of, like, take their success away from them. I think it's out of pure jealousy because maybe they couldn't reach that level of success that they wanted, so they want to try to take down everyone who's more successful than them. It is really gross stuff, and is only going to divide this country more and more. Alrighty, so I think that's all I have for today. So before we go, like I said, if you're for some reason if you're interested in the politics and wanted to delve into more of the history and more kind of this area to get more knowledge about politics or whatever, well, what better way to look for products than Amazon? I love Amazon. I have Amazon Prime and all that, so whenever I want like a book or like maybe a movie or whatever, or a game, maybe a t-shirt, whatever, I go to Amazon. Amazon, you can find like almost anything on Amazon. So, and I love it so much. So let's say for example, like you want to actually learn more, like actually have the Constitution on hand, like not just because you can find the Constitution online, but you can only find it in certain sections. So why not have it in your hand, the entire thing? So yeah, get the U.S. Constitution on Amazon. It's actually the one like I have personally is like kind of a little pocketbook, but it's the entire Constitution. It's really comes in handy. So yeah, I really like that. Also get the Let's Tears mug, which again, unfortunately, it doesn't produce its own Let's Tears, but it's a really cool mug to have if you want it. And also, if you want to kind of get more of the history of how the U.S. Constitution was formed, get the Federalist Papers. And also, the Federalist Papers, the link to the book I have in the description will be a link to not only the book not only has the Federalist Papers, it has the anti-Federalist Papers. So you can see both sides of the argument, which would be really helpful. So you can it makes you more knowledgeable of U.S. history and how the Constitution formed. And also, so yeah, the Constitution was not formed just because of the Federalist Papers. It was also formed because of the anti-Federalist Papers. Like the reason why we have the Bill of Rights is because of the anti-Federalists, which was a good idea. Because, again, the anti-Federalists feared that if certain rights were not specifically listed in the Constitution, the government will run roughshod over them, which is very true. So that's why the Bill of Rights, the First Amendment, Second Amendment, and all that was written. And then you can also get Bullies by Stephen Shapiro. That was a really good book and kind of delves into how the left operates and all that, and how they use intimidation tactics and all that. So you can get that. You can get all sorts of other products. So I'll have all that in the description below. And other than that, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next week. My name is Sean Clinton, and this is the God of Freedom Show.